Credit secrets banks don't want you to know. Banks make billions because people don't know these credit secrets. You might say the bank can't keep secrets from its customers. So I want to ask you, why are millions of people with zero missed payments stuck with a credit score that won't move? What is the one thing your bank looks at every single month that you probably never once checked? And why does your score sometimes drop even when you feel like you're doing everything right? Today I'm pulling back the curtain on the 5 credit secrets banks hope you never find out. If you understand these secrets, the system stops working against you. Number 1. Statement date versus due date. One of the biggest reasons people have low credit scores is that they don't know their credit card has 2 dates, not 1. There's the due date and the statement closing date. Let me explain. The due date is the one printed on your bill, while the statement closing date determines what your credit score sees. Sadly, a lot of people have never heard of the second one. Here's what happens every month without you realizing it. On your statement closing date, your card issuer takes a snapshot of your current balance and sends that number to the credit bureaus. That snapshot is what becomes part of your credit report, not your payment or your balance at that moment. So if your statement closes on the 20th and you pay your bill on the 28th, the bureau already captured your full balance 8 days before you paid a single dollar. That's why even though you did everything right, you still got penalized. How do you fix this? Don't be afraid, it's quite simple. Log into your credit card account today, find your statement closing date, and make it a habit to pay your balance down before that date arrives every month. If you can do this consistently, it's possible to shift your score faster than almost anything else on the list. Now, our next secret is where most people leave serious points on the table. Number 2. Utilization timing hack. In 2026, the average credit card interest rate sits around 19.20%. But for many, it's closer to 25%. This is not by accident. Banks want you to carry a balance because that's where the profit is. In fact, a 2026 report shows that 80% of credit card profits come from interest on revolving balances, not those swipe fees merchants pay. Now, you probably heard the keep your credit utilization under 30% rule. Well, that's true. Staying under 30% is better than going above it. But here's what the people with 750 plus credit scores actually do. They don't aim for 30%. They aim for 10%. And there's a significant gap between those two numbers when it comes to your score. For those who don't know, utilization makes up 30% of your FICO score. If your limit is $5,000 and your reported balance is $2,500, that's 50% utilization. Your score is taking a hit every single month at that number, even if you're paying it off in full. The part that makes this interesting is that you don't have to spend less to lower your utilization. You just have to control when your balance gets reported. Pay it down before your statement closes, not after. If you can't pay the whole bill, pay enough so that on your statement date your balance is under 10% of your limit. Then make a mid-cycle payment if your balance is climbing, and split large purchases across 2 cards if you have them. None of these things cost you more money. They just change the timing of when the bureaus see your balance. That's the real secret. The 800 score, people aren't necessarily earning more or spending less. They're just more deliberate about their snapshot. Up next is a secret that feels counterintuitive until you see the math, and it becomes obvious why banks never bring it up. Number 3, credit limits. Requesting a higher credit limit can raise your credit score without you spending a single extra dollar. Here's why. When your limit goes up and your spending stays the same, your utilization percentage drops automatically. That drop gets reported to the bureaus and your score goes up. Say you have a $3,000 limit and you regularly spend $1,000 a month. That's 33% utilization. Already above the sweet spot. Imagine that your limit gets raised to $7,000, but your spending stays the same. With that $1,000, your utilization will drop to 14% or less. Nothing about your financial behavior changed, but your score improved anyway. Now, here's what you need to watch out for. Some card issuers run a hard inquiry when you request a limit increase, which temporarily dips your score a few points. But a lot of issuers, especially if you've been a reliable customer for 6 months to a year, will only run a soft inquiry or nothing at all. Which brings us to the very next secret. But before we get into it, if you're starting to realize the banks have been playing you, hit the like button and subscribe. It helps this reach more people being crushed by interest. Now, back to the countdown. Number 4, hard versus soft inquiries. A hard inquiry is triggered when you formally apply for credit. It shows up on your report and it can take 5 to 10 points off your score. Sadly, it stays there for 2 years. On the other hand, a soft inquiry is when you check your own score or a company pre-screens you for an offer, leaving no mark in your score whatsoever. So, here's where people run into trouble. You're shopping for a mortgage. You want the best rate. So you apply with 4 or 5 different lenders, which is completely reasonable. But each one of those applications triggers its own hard inquiry. That could be 30, 40, or even 50 points gone before you've signed a single document. What most people don't know is that FICO actually accounts for this. When you're shopping for a mortgage or auto loan, multiple hard inquiries within a specific window, usually 14 to 45 days depending on the scoring model, count as just one. So shop around aggressively, but do it all within that window. If you want the complete roadmap for fixing and building your credit, not just the secrets, I put it all together in a book called Credit Rewrite 800, the 800 Plus system. The link is right there in the description. Finally, our last secret is where it starts to get really eye-opening. Number 5, the minimum payment trap. Minimum payments were not designed to help you get out of debt. They were designed to keep you in it as long as possible. Do you know why? It's because the longer you carry a balance, the more interest the bank collects. So banks are not rooting for your score to go up. A higher score means you qualify for better rates, which means they earn less from you. The average credit card APR right now is sitting above 20%. And credit card companies are legally required to print on your statement how long it will take you to pay off your balance if you make only minimum payments. Most people glance at that number and keep scrolling. Let's actually look at it. On a $5,000 balance at 20% APR, if you make only the minimum payment, you could be paying that card off for over 17 years. And by the time you're done, you paid more than $6,000 in interest on top of the original $5,000. So, you borrowed $5,000, but paid back over $11,000. This means the bank made more money off your debt than the amount you originally borrowed. That is not an accident. It's the entire business model. Is there any way out of this trap? Of course there is. Treat your credit card like a debit card. Before you swipe, ask yourself one question. Is this money already in my account? If yes, use the card, earn the points, and pay it off in full before the statement closes. If not, don't spend it. Then, go to your setting and switch auto pay to the full statement balance. Not the minimum, but the full amount. It will only take you 30 seconds, and it permanently removes the bank's biggest weapon against you. The credit system isn't a mystery. It's a game with specific rules. Once you know the dates and the math, you stop being a customer and start being a partner. If you've been making any of these mistakes, don't worry. Most people are, too. Tell me in the comments which of these secrets surprise you the most. I'll be replying to as many as I can. Meanwhile, if you want to see what happens when you don't know these secrets, you need to watch this video on your screen right now. I'll be showing you what life is like with bad credit. See you there. Wait, for more helpful info, don't forget to check the description below.